Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel. I am doing this video today as part of my 100-day challenge project. Now, it occurred to me that I don't even know why I picked the word challenge. Maybe the more accurate thing would be 100-day project. So I'll probably be starting to use that hashtag as well. Anyway, that's a housekeeping duty. So what I started playing around with yesterday is I had ripped out, I was trying to get a little, clean up and get a little tidy in the studio here. And I'd ripped out pages out of one of those day book type things. And it was a kind of an art book. So I thought, well, I could keep passing this around and moving it from place to place, or I could deal with it and get it over with. So what I did was I cut out all the images of paintings that looked as though they were complete, because of course in a how-to book sometimes you get the different stages, and I really didn't want that. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I started, I cut them out. And I cut them out, as they were, rectilinear, straight lines, square edges, square corners. And I also had a bunch of these pages out of a ledger. Now, this is just half of it. Of course, there's an equally big page that would have had much more writing on it. So I picked the side that had, maybe just headings and less writing, thinking that if this ends up being a masterboard, then at least it will already have been backed and there'll be some writing space. I found too that using this, using rectangles and squares on a piece of paper that is all lines made it very easy to line things up. So without any additional, figuring or whatever, I was able to make a very regular looking collage, which is not normally how I would do this. And then I thought, well, okay, why don't I take a Sharpie? So I used this one, this size of point or thickness. Oh, that's considered a fine point. Ah. Anyway, I used this and my steel edge ruler, or my steel ruler, to draw these grid lines around each of the pieces. And I started out in this, I think this is the first, yeah, this is the first one I did. So I started out in this corner and tried to keep things intact. But then, of course, after a while, you need little patches, like so, or like so. And that, or these here at the bottom. And that was kind of cool, I thought. It almost looks mosaic-y. So, sort of kept that under my blotter overnight and let it dry thoroughly. I had just used glue stick. So then, of course, if one is good, then two must be better. So I made a second one. And then this morning, before I turned on the camera, I'm thinking, okay, now what? What am I going to do with this? And what am I going to do in front of you that is going to give you some value? So then I thought, well, okay, these pages are not identical. And the reason, not that it matters, I guess, but the reason these pages aren't quite a full-size ledger sheet is that they had been water damaged at the bottom. So it was all, I had ripped off the ratty part and then I just squared it off and, cut along the line. So these, I think, are roughly, yeah, they're 5 inches, roughly. So that would be a good tag size. So then what I did, and I thought, well, okay, someone might be interested in watching this, is I then pulled out some more Sharpies. And of course, in this, now what would they call this? They call this fine too, so go figure. In this size, I just seem to have, you know, blue and green and more blue. So then I pulled out my Staedtler pen and these triangular ones. Call it a fine liner. Not really knowing how well any of these would work on, you know, kind of glossy, slippery paper. I also pulled out this gel pen. Now this is just an Office Depot brand, so it's not a jelly roll or anything like that. To be honest, I don't know. And I didn't take the time to look to see if I had a more sort of art type jelly roll pen, not just an office brand sort of, or a store brand. Anyway, what I started doing was, and I started very tiny because, you know, we got to be very, very cautious when you're creating art. That's sarcasm, by the way. Very, very cautious. So I used probably, it was one of the Staedtler. I think it was this one. So what I did was I outlined the different patches of color, for lack of a better word. And I see that I didn't do all of them. And this is where maybe having an unsteady hand. I don't consider that I do have an unsteady hand, but this is where being a little less than perfectly, I wanted to say anally perfect, is a good thing because it gives a more painterly type mark. So what I did was I outlined the different things and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Start channeling the zen of doodling. Then I kept looking for more pens. So then I found this Zig pigmenting, acid-free, light, fast, waterproof, fade-proof, non-bleeding, 0.05 diameter in kind of a rust color. And I added that extra line there. And then I thought, well, okay, this is quite a bland piece here. It's got, I don't know if you can see, but shades of mauve. So why don't I pull out one of my purple pens? And I think I was using this Energel pen by Pentel. So I started outlining and I thought, well, okay, at some point I better turn this camera on. So you can see I'm not very rigorously following the line. I may be adding a few more bumps and waves than the artist had originally done. But this serves to add another dimension to the piece, as well as totally take your mind off anything that may be troubling you. Now that, I turned off one of my desk lights here simply because it was giving me too much glare. I don't know if that is going to be a good thing in the long run. Might help me see better, but make things worse for you. So then I thought, okay, fine. Now this in itself is probably incomplete. So I could, oh, there's the person's signature. I could go over that as well. And again, that's not obviously how she signed it, but it doesn't matter. At this point, I am doodling. I am mark making. I am dividing up this space in a way that adds interest and is you know, is creating negative space and positive space, and really, if I wasn't talking to you, I'd be totally, you know, zoned out. I'd be chill. So then several of these, and of course it was the luck of the draw what sort of paintings were in this, this book that I took apart. So then I went to this one and I thought, okay, why don't I begin outlining some of these shapes? And that's what I did. And I deliberately made them a little shakier, a little rougher than they were. And you can see they're not terribly sharp edges either. Contrast this style or this style with, what can I show you? Well, these are watercolors, so maybe they're all a bit, maybe the edges aren't quite as sharp as they might be, say, on an acrylic painting. Anyway, I circled, I made those 3 circles. I outlined these couple of store awnings. I see here's another one. So basically, I'm just choosing. Now I could make these stripes double because, of course, that's how stripes go. And even if those stripes didn't exist, I could be creating them. And one of the things that I really like in art, so here are these, I don't know what those are. Those aren't traffic lights. One of the styles that I like are the ones that have very graphic black lines around them, around the subject matter. So this allows me to do that, to augment what is already there, just with, picking and choosing what to enhance. Now, it would be a different look if I chose a different color pen. It would be a different look again if I chose a thicker, wider pen. Let's emphasize those stripes. And again, if I wasn't talking to you and I wanted this to be even more a more meditative process, what a person could do is slow, way down. Obviously, I sped up again because I think that's the impulse. But if a person can force themselves to slow down, it slows down your breath. It slows down your monkey mind, my monkey mind. And it becomes it adds a whole dimension to the process. So I just wanted to, sort of show you the possibilities. Now on this one, whatever I do is going to be far more visible than it would be on something dark like this one. But that can work in my favor. So once I started playing with this, I thought, well, okay, what have I got? So I pulled out this. See, I put hand lotion on there, and my hands are still a bit greasy. Ugh. There's this size of Sharpie. I have this in several colors. I found that I had a double-edged, double-ended Tombow. Okay, this is water-based marker, so that's like a brush point. And then this end is more like a felt tip. These Tombow pens are not cheap. That's probably why I only have 2 of them. I then pulled out my pouch of Posca pens. Oh, here's my other Tombow. Oh, and I see that I threw a silver Sharpie in there as well. A good time to buy these Sharpie pen sets is during back to school, because then they have some cool combos of colors. So you can see I have Posca pens in a variety of colors. I didn't, the only, oh, here it is. This was the white one I put, now I started doing white. Over here. I started outlining those tree shapes in white. First I tried the gel pen and it wasn't working particularly well. So then I pulled this out. Now, if you've used Posca pens, you know that you're supposed to gently shake them. There's a little ball in there that mixes up the pigment. And then you're supposed to gently, oh, you're not going to see, well, white on white, hey? Oh, you should not get a blob like that. So maybe I didn't need to prime that quite so much. And this is paint, so it is, you know, don't wear your Sunday best when doing this. So let's find something else or we can continue with these trees. So it, see, that's a lot finer than what I have over here, so maybe it's a good thing I wiped the tip a bit. But again, if I press down harder, I could make a thicker line. And in fact, that too would give me some variety. Now, oh, I had also outlined this rectangle here. Now, a lot of these details are very tiny compared to the point of this pen. So if I had a gel pen that was working properly, that would be a better choice because I'm going to obscure a lot of stuff. Like if I were to try to outline this guy, you know, there wouldn't be much left of him with a pen this broad. So I won't continue doing that. I then looked into another pouch that I have. And this is sort of one that I keep, you know, together if I just wanted to take some papers and do some doodling. So I've got, I think this is a pencil. Yeah, that's a pencil. I've got some of these, which is the Pentel brand, in different colors. Those are really nice pens. Sometimes I just use them for regular writing. And then some of the Pigma pens, or Micron pens, sorry, in a variety of sizes. So 0.05, 0.005, and 0.01. I have, I don't know where this came from. I can't see the brand on it. It says illustration pen 0.3. And if you love to make marks, investing in a set of these pens is really kind of, you know, a treat. And this is a Pigma liner. This is Staedtler brand, and it's 0.03. This is a Zig pen, Zig memory system. Oh, this is like, thought I had another one here. It doesn't matter. That's a purple. And this is a 0.1. So having, you know, a pouch full of these pens at your disposal is also really nice if you're, you know, if you want to try this, doing some of this yourself. Now, before I cut this first sheet in half, I was thinking, okay, what are some of the possibilities I could talk to you about? And of course, the first thing that comes to mind is, just if it essentially it's a masterboard. So just cut it up. So like I said, I cut it into these 5-inch tall pieces. Another way to keep the process, maybe to make the process a little more fun or a little more random, is to, and I probably would in this case as well, turn them over, because that way it sort of leaves it to the universe as to what you're going to get on the other side when you flip it over. So again, because of these grid lines here, let's just see. Okay, this thing is about 14 inches. So, well, let's cut along this red line here. That's roughly 3 inches. And that gives us a whole new thing. Oh, no, it doesn't. Well, I guess it does, in that it now leaves this teal bar of color. This thing was an anomaly. I mean, it was the only one, only style like that in the book. Let's just randomly pick here. And let's, okay, so that's almost 7.5. Let's make one wider, one narrower, and see what we get. So you can see that these make some interesting looking bases right off the bat. And I think that, I was being a little sarcastic in the beginning there when I said, start tiny and be very meek and mild. Meek and, cautious. That's not the way to approach this. This is only paper. It's only a bit of ink. It's only a little bit of time. And maybe to prove my point, let's do something totally off the wall with this one here. And if I screw it up, then so what? I know where the garbage is. Okay, let's try this Tombow pen. And let's use the brush end. And hopefully there's enough contrast here that, and I'm deliberately being a wee bit wavy. I'm deliberately leaving a little bit of white space. Maybe I'm going to pretend that these are cast shadows. And I'm only going to do it on the one side of the figure. And of course, where these are broken lines and the guy has, or the person has not completed the line, I get to decide, what is what, emphasize or not, fill in the blanks or not. So that is one thing that could be done to that. What have I got here? Oh, I've got this purple. Maybe I want to, this is a thicker one, a more, like a bigger point on it. Maybe I want to make some of those, sorry about the little ball. That's the only way to shake it though. And hope that this, maybe I'm not gonna, well, it does show to prime it, but yeah, more gently. Okay, let's fill in this t-shirt a bit and do some stripes. And maybe rather than color it in solidly, I'll just choose to go down the sort of the middle and be as broken in my lines as the original artist was. Like I'm not filling it in like I would on a coloring book, sort of. Is this pen trying to dry up? Seems a bit scratchy. Oh, there it's flowing. Scratchy might have been better. Let's give a little stripe on the sleeve. Maybe another one here. And another one here. And here. You can see how much thicker the paint is there now. That's giving it a little bit of life. Now, I'm going to set that aside so I don't stick a finger in it. If, in fact, this becomes a journal card, and I guess there's no reason why it couldn't be, then a person could jazz it up by, rounding the corners, adding a sentiment, adding a postage stamp, stamping a design on it, the usual go-tos that we have for, finishing things off. So I'll just set that aside. So we have these as well. So I would continue adding some fine black lines to this one. I could, for instance, oops, that's blue. I could be outlining these little windows here and these lines. Again, it looks more artistic to have a little wave in the line, a little broken line. It allows the viewer to fill in the rest of the imagery. These are probably building windows. Again, I don't want it to feel like, that it was done by a printing press and there's some precision to all that. That's not the look that I want. Here's this guy on a bicycle. I could outline him. And the minute I do that, he becomes more important in the scene. There are all these little people that could be emphasized. Again, I'm probably not going to end up putting their little eyes in, but just, picking some people to emphasize already makes it more interesting. Same thing with that streetcar. I could do that. In this scene, it would be, because again, I said it before, because it's so dark, I'd be better off using white if I had a narrow white pen. I haven't done anything here, but clearly to carry on what I'm doing here would unify the whole thing, and I think that would be a very attractive card that wouldn't need probably anything else added to it. Here, of course, the possibility, because of that band of color, the possibility exists to just, add a large sentiment there, or maybe punch out a design or edge it in some way. The other thing that occurs to me that would look good on all of these, where is it? Is to, let's do this one, is to continue or to add now that it's cut, to add the heavy black border. It would serve to frame it. Now, let's see, maybe before I go any further with that, will it spoil it? I usually like to round my corners, but I think I'm going to pass on that this time, just because everything else is so straight and regular. Let's keep it straight and regular. You know, these pens are a bit stinky, but for mark making and, you know, the non-smear, and for the, whoops, get off the ruler and put it on the paper. You know, you can't really beat it. So I would definitely outline them. Let's see, what else can I talk to you about here? So on this one, I mean, on the rest of that sheet, similar process. I think it would be fun outlining this one. This would not be, I don't see much that could be done here because it's already, you know, that was part of the original art piece, that they had done that wiggly, squiggly, wiggly outlining. But there are possibilities here and here. These treetops, this scene as well. This one is quite dark. You know, not too much could go on there. But I think that by making, number one, these are little tiny entities of their own. And then by further cutting them down into even smaller pieces, and then by looking at them in even little itty bitty ones like this, I guess my advice would be that if you're feeling a bit wary or cautious, or think you're going to mess something up and the world will stop spinning on its axis, begin with some of the smallest ones, or begin at an outer edge. And if you really, 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 really hate it, you chop it off, you throw it in the garbage, and we never speak of it again. But otherwise, there's not a darn thing you can do to this that would ruin it, as far as I'm concerned. So just before I wind this up, I'll just have a look at this one. Same, everything I've been saying applies to this as well. Originally, when I was thinking about some of the possible uses, I thought, oh, this one is 14.5 by 10. You know, with a little trimming, it could become a journal cover. And that might be a possibility, except that on all of these folds, you know, there is a bit of, see how it's sort of forming a little square corner there? And it would become a point of weakness. So I guess the thing that could be done, and maybe I'll do that with this one, is do all the doodling I want to do all the enhancing and embellishing that I want to do, and then as a final step, seal it with matte gel medium. Do I have my thingamajig here to show you? This one, oh no, that's not it, that's the clear gesso. It may not be within reach, guys. Oh no, here it is. Okay, matte medium. This is Liquitex brand. Golden makes one as well. So this could be just brushed on after the fact as a way of ensuring that, you know, whatever I did with a glue stick is actually holding, and also adding another level of strength and protection to the paper, and hopefully keeping any edges from wanting to open up. what I would probably do is once I've done my doodling on this is to cut it down, you know, deciding where to trim, but cut it down to 9 by 12 and probably, well, no, I'd want to outline it with black pen. I don't know that there'd be any advantage to sewing it, probably not. But I'm thinking between the gel medium, maybe even a couple or 3 coats, you know, allow it to dry in between, that it would sturdy this thing up. If it ended up being a journal cover, another way to give it a little more oomph would be to add another layer of paper on the inside so that it's not, so this wouldn't be the inside of the cover, but it would be, you know, maybe some decorative thing that a person has chosen. But in any case, I thought I brought my bigger ruler, my longer ruler here. I thought I had a 15-inch. Ah, there she is. Okay, so we could, there's 12 inches. So it, you know, it boils down to a matter of personal choice. You know, picture that gone. Picture that gone. And then, what did I say it was this way? 10 inches. So there isn't much to lose here. You know, a person, I think that by adding the black line, it really does become more of a mosaic looking thing. So it seems to me that if I was doing that, I would move this down. I'd leave these little tiny pieces that I used to fill in because they are giving it a more mosaic-y look, and chop an inch off the top. I'd lose part of that skyline, but anyway, nothing, as you know, nothing is really ever lost because we can work it into something else. So I think that's what I'm going to continue doing. I think this would be one of those, if you have one of those lap, what are they called? Lap beds, lap trays, lap desk. If you have lap desk, that's a great thing to use, you know, if you're kind of in bed for the night and maybe watching something on a YouTube or Netflix where you don't have to pay too much attention, you're just more listening than watching. That would be a great meditative, Zen-like thing to do before bedtime. And I think, yeah, I'm pretty excited about the possibilities here. So that's the homework I'm assigning myself. I hope that if you have art books or, well, for that matter, any kind of images, magazine images that you like, consider doing this because it is pretty cool. When it just occurs to me that as I was talking about mosaic, there's nothing that says that, you know, a person can't add more lines, more, you know, divide up these existing pieces, even though I didn't, you know, cut them up with scissors and divide them or turn them on their sides or whatever. There's nothing to say that I can't do that with a black pen for a more of this sort of a look. Anyway, I will stop there. I don't, as I said, I don't know what day this is in terms of the number of for the 100-day thing, but you'll know when you see it in the title. And again, I'll just encourage you to start your own 100-day project because I won't belabor it because I've said it often enough, but the benefits outweigh any doubts that you might have. Thanks. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.